There ain't nothing wrong with me that you can't fix. There ain't nothing wrong with me.
Well, hi, this is Brad Maule, made in Nacogdoches. We have a special guest today, Scott Allen, who is a fundraiser for SFA. He's going to tell you the real title of what he does because it's one of those super long things. But anyway, while you're watching the show, like and subscribe. It helps us a lot. Doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us to finally get sponsors, which is kind of what we're looking for. And I'm outright begging you right now. Anyway, welcome, Scott. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for having me.
Tell us
Looking forward to it.
Tell us your whole title here.
Yeah, so Senior Associate Athletic Director of Development, which is a really long word for begging people for money.
Oh,
so yeah. So a lot like what you just did.
I was just thinking we're doing the same.
Right.
Well, that's good. So welcome. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you.
I don't know how long we've known each other, probably 5 or 6 years or something, but never had a conversation really other than, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, just short conversations. Sure. Yeah.
All that. So tell us a little bit about what you do for SFA athletics and stuff.
Yeah. So I worked, so I've been at SFA for forever, was a student there in the 90s.
So you graduated from
SFA, allegedly. Don't check any transcripts or anything, but that's what they tell me. Okay. And that was I graduated in 2000. And then my wife and I were we met while we were in college, got married, and we were we're in college, we're never going to live, and we're going to move to Houston. Go do the big time.
Cities.
Yeah, and then we've never left. We, just love Nacogdoches, and right after college, have always worked on campus. Right after college, we spent about 15 years in college ministry. And that's how I actually got started in fundraising. We had to raise our own salary. We had to raise operational support for anything we were doing on campus.
Wait a minute, you're a preacher?
That you have to use that really loosely with me. Yeah, I'm licensed to, do weddings and funerals and things like that. But
how cool. Is that what you wanted to be?
I never thought so I didn't become a Christian until I was in college. And so, no, I never thought about that. And we had, when we were finishing college, I had we had been involved in this ministry, been going to this Bible study, and had someone encourage us, hey, y'all ought to think about going into college ministry. And so the ministry was called Campus Crusade for Christ, or CRU was what all stood. CRU was kind of the short name that students used. And we thought we would just do it for a couple of years. Just we focused on mainly Greeks and athletes. Thought we would just do that for a little while, and then the next thing we know, we spent almost 15 years doing that. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So sorry, because you were explaining,
throwing you some curveballs.
No, I like those. Actually, that's when we get best. Is when we dig a little deeper and all that. So we'll get into that later. But tell me about SFA and fundraising.
Yeah. So then at that point, was just looking to do something else. I was in my early 40s. Probably the gap between myself and a college student was growing, as far as doing ministry there. So I was kind of looking to do something else. And had the experience in fundraising, and there was a position open with the foundation on campus with the development office. And so reached out to Trey Turner, who's still the executive director over there. And I had recently met Trey before that, sat down with him and just talked through what that could look like, what the job would entail, and then stepped into a role on campus fundraising, which is how we met. I was fundraising for liberal arts, but then had a donor who was really interested in fine arts.
What's that? What was it? A lawyer or something?
Jason Gibson. Yeah. And I just was texting with Jason this weekend. He's still in Houston, doing great. But he, was in a handful of movies.
Yeah.
And had an interest in fine arts, and so that's how we had connected. So I did that for about 9 years. Had been affiliated with athletics a little bit during that time. I'm a sports kid from when I was growing up, so I've always loved being around sports and being a part of the athletic process, the behind the scenes. And so last May, had the opportunity to step into athletics full time, and so now I still fundraise, but do so just in the athletic department.
So is fundraising for athletics different than what you were doing?
There are some differences, yes. I mean, the basics are the same. You know, you're building relationships with donors, alumni, and you're really you function in the role of you hope you function in the role of like a consultant, where it's not like I know I made the joke about begging people for money, but really you're trying to build a relationship, and as that person wants to be a part of what we're doing at SFA, you're simply kind of coaching them, counseling them through, hey, here's what it could look like. If you're wanting to give back to the university, here's a couple of options. You know, you really, in more kind of like a donor consultant, I think if you're doing it well. So I think those things don't change. Some of the differences are with academics, you're looking more at endowments. You're looking at trying to build up scholarships for long-term professorships. Of course, you know, the big money is, you know, if you can get someone to name a college or a building or something like that, or a space, put their name on something. When in athletics, it's really more, there's a higher demand for money that we can use right now. If you're familiar with everything in college athletics that's going on with name, image, and likeness, and so many of these things, our coaches need money they can spend.
So the kids get paid these days,
yes,
right?
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
That's
right?
the bottom line. Yes, sir. Now, not, at SFA, it's not what we hear about at the University of Texas and Oklahoma and LSU. It's not quite at that level, but yeah, we have students that are receiving payments and, a part of our revenue, and it's been approved by the House settlement last summer.
Yeah.
So it's I guess a federal law and, NCAA.
So in the perfect world, why would like when you were in fundraising to begin with, what's the benefits of somebody wanting, how do you walk a person into that world?
Yeah.
Because you aren't begging, but you do want money from it.
Right. Yeah, that's so. It starts with, we're starting with typically people who have benefited from SFA. So people who have graduated from SFA, people who have been around the campus. Sometimes it doesn't mean they graduate. Sometimes it could just be someone who's lives in the Nacogdoches area or whatever. Just there's some kind of connection to SFA, and so SFA has meant something to them. So many of our alumni, we still have, almost half our students are first generation college students.
Yeah.
And so many of our alumni look back and they say, gosh, if I had not been able to go to SFA, I don't know where I would be now. I would not have what I have. I wouldn't have accomplished in my career what I've accomplished. And so they want to give back. They want to be a part of helping that next generation of student accomplish what they've accomplished. And so you're able to kind of start there often, and then just look at, okay, what, financially, what do they want to do? How much do they want to give? And after you kind of figure those things out, you can set up, okay, here's what it would take to start a scholarship, or here's what it would take to support a specific program on campus or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of the basics of walking through someone as they look at SFA being a part of their philanthropy, a part of, on their giving radar.
Yeah. Well, what about somebody, because you would think of it as almost a negative. It's like, a lot of kids, this is their first time to go, but it's actually a positive.
Oh, yeah.
A big thing for a family. I know that my sister was the first person in our family to go to college, and she just told me recently, she goes, I don't know where my life would have been if I hadn't been able to go to college. Yeah. So, this area, country people in West Texas, like I'm from, they don't get that very often. So yeah, that's a good thing. They want to give back. But what if I got, people from the country are pretty cut and dried. What if they say, look, we don't want to get involved in all this stuff. We just want to write a check.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that what you say? Sure.
We're never going to turn that down.
Okay.
Yeah. There are, we do have a lot of people that are like, hey, I just want to help SFA. Y'all use it however you need to, and we, even with that, we try to get to specifics. We want them, because you want someone who's giving, you want them to feel like their money is going to where they want it to go and helping where they want it to help. You know, whether that's, hey, they want to help just one student or they want to help 100 students. You know, what do you want to do? And so we can still talk through that. But yeah, if someone's just like, oh yeah, I just want to help SFA.
Yeah.
Y'all use it, you know, however the president or, you know, a specific dean or somewhere, however they want to use it, that's fine with me. I mean, that's all. Yeah, that's actually better. And so the more unrestricted someone's giving is, the better, because then we can use it more broadly, you know, because there are people that are like, hey, I want it to go to, you know, someone who's in the business college, who plans to go to law school, who has 2 dogs. And, you know, you can get into these really detailed specifics where you're like, oh, I don't know how many students we have that fit that criteria. So the more general it is, the better. So yeah, we love it when someone's like, I just want to give
out there today and, you know, wants to write you a check.
I am good with it. Yeah. I would have no problem there. We would love to have that conversation.
Okay. What does the SFA need?
Everything. So we need.
What does SFA sports need? Right?
Yeah.
Let's use an
okay.
now.
So, I'll tackle that one first. Just what we need in general. I mean, the big thing is really 2 or 3 areas. With the UT system, you know, most people know we joined the UT system a few years ago. And the University of Texas system has a program called the Promise Program. And it's basically any family, any household that has a yearly income under $100,000.
Is that like if a husband and wife work? Is it
right?
Both of them together?
Yes. The household income is below $100,000. Then that student can attend SFA tuition free, essentially. And we used here, even just here at SFA, I think we used, I hope I'm not misquoting this number, there was around $4 million from the UT system that we used this past year for that program. So I don't know how many students were included in that, but obviously it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of students, especially in the East Texas area, that qualify for that. And that has allowed us, it's such an awesome program because it allows so many students to go to school that probably either could not go to college, or if they could, they would have to work full time and do so many things to try to get through college. Whereas because of that Promise program, they're really able to focus on academics a little more. So that's the first thing. And that's helped us a lot on just tuition and fees and, you know, the scholarships that are needed for your students. As a whole, SFA, we probably now need more help with programs and professorships. So programs being the fine arts program. Dr. Gary Wirtz, can't believe I'm giving him a shout out. He's a terrible basketball player. But Dr. Wirtz, I'm going to get in trouble for that one. But Dr. Wirtz.
The gauntlet's been thrown down. If you want to come and defend yourself here.
That's right. So Dr. Wirtz has, you know, they've got operational needs. They've got different programs they want to put on as a part of the Fine Arts College. They've got performers they want to bring in that are beneficial for the community and beneficial for the campus. There's all these things they want to do. And so that's where the funds are needed now, I think, more than scholarships. 10 years ago, we would have said scholarships. But I think there, and then support of professors. So faculty members, one of the things that can be set up is a professorship, which essentially provides faculty support by way of, it can help them do research. It can provide for them to travel and go to certain conferences and things like that. So it can provide some extra funds for them to get a little more done in their program.
Right.
I don't know if I explained that really well, but to turn to athletics, we need a little bit of everything. So we've got probably, I don't know, I'd say 3 or 4 buckets, but the first one being we have an annual fund called the Purple Lights Fund, and it's basically just general financial support for our athletic department, and that's what we need more than we just need people that'll get involved, whether it's $25 a month or $100 once a year or whatever it is. We just need more and more people that'll jump in and get involved with us. Of course, we appreciate it when people do a lot more, but any level of giving. Then we have what you mentioned earlier, NIL and rev share accounts that we have for all of our sports. That's another bucket. And then the last one that is coming online here in the next couple of months. Well, a lot of people have seen the master plan that SFA has presented that'll be voted on next month by the UT Board of Regents. And if that's approved, we've got a little over $1 billion in projects that are going to come online here in the next 10 to 15 years. And a portion of that is athletics. And so we're going to have some capital projects we'll be raising money for. So that was a lot. I feel like I just talked for like 30 minutes. But
It's okay.
You're the one that asked me on this podcast. So I can blame it on you, Brad. If
you can. So where are you from?
Okay. Shelbyville, grew up in Shelbyville.
So you're local.
Big city of Shelbyville. Yeah, Nacogdoches was the big town when I know we consider Nacogdoches small town, but when I was up through, I lived in Shelbyville up through the 8th grade.
And how many people?
Wonderful place to grow up.
How many people are there?
Oh gosh, the population is probably a couple of hundred. Like I would have made 30 in my graduating class had I stayed there. There was 29 that ended up graduating from that class. So small 2A school, I think.
Did you play football?
I did. Yeah. Played sports and stuff growing up. Little league and all those things. Grew up in we were out in the country, but there was a clump of about 10 houses. It was called Welcome Hall. It was the community I grew up in. And there were about 10 houses there. And there were probably, out of those 10 houses, there were probably maybe 5 or 6 other boys around my age. So I had the benefit, to grow up around a lot of other guys. And that was, we were sports kids and always playing ball out in the yard and stuff like that. So I grew up, everything kind of revolved around sports.
Part of this podcast, it's called Made in Nacogdoches, but it's really about people that come from small towns, and you're from, in essence, Nacogdoches. I mean, you live here and have lived here a long time, but the way you were raised is kind of the way people were raised here and also in West Texas, where I'm from. Yeah. So what'd you do as a kid?
Other than get in trouble? So
wait a minute, don't go there, because I want to know what kind of trouble you got into. You don't look like a troublemaker to me.
Oh man. So
what kind of you didn't get in trouble?
Oh yeah. I was always getting in trouble in class. So I was I've always been someone who talks and makes friends easy.
Yeah.
So I had a teacher one time tell my mom, like, I keep moving Scott in class. I keep moving him around to try to get him somewhere essentially where he'll shut up and listen. And wherever she would put me, I would just start talking to the people around me, And so
that's not trouble, though. That's just a sweet kid.
But for a teacher, it is. A teacher who's trying to, conduct a class. It's a problem. So I would always get into trouble with that. We were always doing, stupid stuff, that kids do, that boys do, especially growing up in small towns, goofy stuff.
Kind of thing where your parents said, go outside and play and come in when it's dark.
Oh, yeah.
Thing. That's the way you grew up?
Oh, yeah. My parents both worked. My dad ran a grocery store. My mom worked at a bank there in Center. And so I was left, we were a couple miles outside of Nacogdoches out in the country. And so, we were left, and that was all my friends. Our parents worked. And so, especially in the summer, we were left at home all day, which is never a recipe for success. Let's take 6 boys who are all about the same age and leave them by themselves during the summer. And so we had, we had a creek less than a mile from our house, and we would play in the creek and take inner tubes down there and tube down the creek and walk back. And we would play in the front. If it was raining, we invented games to play in the house, and stuff like that, usually a sports game.
So you didn't have video games?
Didn't have video. Yeah, we might have had at some point. Yeah, right. Yeah, at some point we got an Atari, or somebody did. I can remember playing Atari, which was, it was nothing like what they have now. It was Pong. It was, what was the game? Asteroids or whatever, and maybe Galaga or something, Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, that's what I was thinking of here.
Nothing too complicated. We just had the joystick and the one button. And
Do you still play video games?
I don't. My son plays a little bit. He's 21. He still plays a little bit. And when he was younger, sometimes I would play something, a game with him.
So much faster.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yeah. That and on their phones. So I didn't grow up with, we had to make our own fun growing up in the country and
So
we did a lot of it.
Do you think that how did that shape you as a grown up?
Wow. That's a great question, Brad. Probably one I've never given a lot of thought to. I would say growing up in Shelbyville, I would say that we were, it was a small town. So you were, even though, like I said, I got into some trouble on occasion, we were taught to be very respectful of others, of elders, of friends. We were a yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, excuse me, pardon me, thank you, please, like all those manners, that are taught, or at least then were taught. We were expected to act a certain way. People knew you because of your parents, and that could get you in trouble because everybody knew who everybody was and knew your parents and so I can't tell you the number of times it's, hey, are you Jimmy's boy? Are you Barbara's boy? And then I'm like, oh gosh. Now I had teachers that would tell me if I were acting up in class, Scott Allen, I'm going grocery shopping tonight. I'm going to see your daddy. Would you like for me? No, ma'am, please don't tell him. So, there was a lot of accountability, I guess, because of that, growing up in a small town and everybody knew each other. Hard work was very important. From an early age, I learned, we had chores and we didn't have a lot of animals. We didn't have a farm. We did have some animals, but at an early age, you were doing chores. You were mowing the yard and cleaning the garage and doing stuff around the house. And I can remember my mom in the summer would leave a list. And I would, get up in the morning, there'd be a list on the kitchen counter. Okay, here's
do list.
Honey, here's the 4 things you need. You'll get one, don't you? I do. I'm not as good at taking care of. My wife gives me a lot more grace than my mom did. Okay. Mom was like, hey, here's 4 things. And if they're not done by the time I get home, we're going to have an issue, And so there was an expectation of work and taking care of things around the house, chores. I think those things shaped me as an adult. I don't know exactly how. That's a great question. Something I've probably not given a whole lot of thought to.
You had 6 buddies to run around together. Mm-hmm. That's also a peer group that says, hey, man, too much, too little, stop it, whatever. So you did have your own society that you functioned within.
Yes.
So that, I don't know, I think these small town values are really what's missing a lot of times in kids. If you were raised maybe by yourself and you didn't have any friends to run around with, that would have changed you as a kid probably.
Yeah, very true.
And a lot of kids don't have anything but TVs and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're thankful. Our kids were, even growing up in NAC, our kids were able to experience a lot of that. I can remember going to, we would take our kids to games at SFA, football and basketball, and they had other friends that they would run around with. And I remember, we would tell them, okay, you can't leave the stadium. You can go get concession. Here's a little money if you want some popcorn. Don't leave the stadium, and then they would run around and do stuff with their friends, within the confines of the state. And so and I don't know that you could do that in a lot of places, whereas we were able to do, being in a small town, and, maybe they were able to do a little more of that. And we had the neighborhood we live in, our kids were kind of able to roam and get out and about and ride bikes and stuff. And some of those same things we had.
You had order versus chaos in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You could have chaos within your order if you wanted to.
Yes.
So did you have dreams as a kid? What were you going to be?
I was going to be either the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, maybe third baseman for the Astros, something like that. That didn't work out. I found out, they want people that are athletic when you get to that level.
You look athletic.
I wasn't though. I love sports growing up and played everything, but my dreams were all sports related. I was the kid, even during the winter, or if I were grounded or something and couldn't leave the house, whatever, I was the one playing, even in my room, playing sports games, either with baseball cards or, creating like a sports game. I can remember, this is so goofy that I'm remembering this. This is how much of a sports nerd I was. There was one time, maybe this was during the winter and you couldn't go, it was cold out. I can't remember why. I was kind of stuck inside, but I used to get, every week, I think it was, every month we would get the sporting news. It was basically a newspaper all about sports. And I took the top 50 scores in the NBA, broke them into 10 teams, and invented a dice game.
Fantasy football here.
Basically. And with the dice would play, to put them in on different teams, and they played. And I did a whole season. Like schedule, everything.
Well,
it developed a schedule.
Nerd.
I was a nerd. Yes. And so, yes. So that's that. And I think it's funny now that I'm working in athletics because it's what I've always wanted to do. And just, it took a long time to finally get there. But that was when I was growing up, everything revolved around sports. Everything. Small towns. I knew small towns in East Texas because of Friday night games.
Yeah.
I would read, we'd get the Shreveport newspaper or the Nacogdoches newspaper on Sundays, and it would have all the scores from local games. And that's how I knew, or just us, my brother was 8 years older than me and played sports, same. And so we would travel and go to all these schools and play. And so that's how I knew East Texas, was through kind of a sports lens.
Now, does that translate into what you do now?
How so?
In terms of you're still around sports.
Yeah.
Are you still a nerd about sports? Do you love to get to go to all the games?
I do. And it's,
And you don't get hurt. So it's almost perfect.
And nobody knows I'm not really all that athletic, so it works out well.
Well, they do now.
Yeah. That's right.
Sorry.
No, it's recorded for life now. That's one of the fun things about being around athletics is being, we're at all the games and I watch. It's funny, the difference now working in athletics is I watch a lot of live sports and a lot of SFA sports, but you don't get to watch as many TV games because you're always at a game on campus. So you'll have people that'll, hey, did you see that game last night? The NFL game? And you're like, nah, man, we had 2 basketball games yesterday or whatever.
Guy, I don't know.
I don't know who that is. Does he play for Northwestern State or Lamar? Otherwise, I probably don't know him.
I had never thought about that, but you don't get to watch, and that's where people get so excited all the time.
Yeah, and even at our games on campus, being in fundraising, so for like a football game, I'll have friends of mine, that'll say, hey, I saw you on the field. Man, that must be cool to be able to, be on the field and watch the game of the field. I'm like, I don't get to watch the games. I'm constantly, I'll see maybe 10 plays out of a football game because I'm constantly talking to people. And, because I'm in fundraising, I'm going to all the premium areas, all the suites, and I'm talking to different people that are there, or I'm in the stands talking to season ticket holders and things like that. So I'm constantly
you're
working. So it's not like I get to just sit. Now I'm able to see parts of it, but it's not like I just sit back and with a box of popcorn and watch the game. Now there are some. Football is the one that we probably have to do more at. Basketball, baseball, volleyball, softball. Some of those we're able to watch more. Not as many people. So the need to go around and visit with so many, it's not quite as intense. So we can watch more.
So it's an eternal thing wanting your team to win.
Sure.
So how do we become winners, or are we winners? I know, because I remember several years ago, Thomas Walkup, that kind of thing. Yeah. It was so exciting.
Yes.
I mean, I guess it's always exciting, but there were those moments when you feel like, whoa, we're almost there. Yeah. You're playing UCLA or whoever it was.
That's right. Yeah, good memory. Yeah. Those moments, I wish those moments were more prevalent. I wish we had more of those, where we're on the stage with the Notre Dames and the UCLAs. And we...
Will we?
Will we? Yes, absolutely. And we, we have been in the past, and we'll get more of those moments. But, most of our games are against, schools that are comparable with us, the Northwestern States, Lamar, McNeese, UTRGV, Houston Christian, all those schools. East Texas A&M, some of those.
Otherwise, you just get beat all the time or you get depressed. It's nice to have somebody that's the same size.
For sure. But then you do get those moments where we're on, national TV. Those years you were talking about, specifically Thomas Walkup's last year, great team. We lose to Notre Dame by 1 point in the second round of the tournament. And I think it was, if I remember this right, there were 9 million people that watched that game. And so that's a lot of folks that are being introduced to Stephen F. Austin that would not know about us otherwise. So it's great for the school. It's a great marketing tool. I mean, just last month, so we had a great fall in athletics. Football team went 3 rounds deep in the playoffs. We played at Montana State, Bozeman, Montana, on a Friday night.
Those guys are tough.
Oh my goodness! They won the national championship,
and they love it when it's cold. I remember.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And it wasn't the night we were there. It wasn't too bad. It was like 40 degrees, and they're like, "Oh, this is nothing. This is not even Montana
years ago, it was like negative 20 or something." And I remember our guys were like, "Crap."
Yeah. How do we end up here? Yeah. Take us back to Texas. But we had, in that game last month, we had almost 1 million people watch us on Friday night on ESPN. So it's a great, marketing tool for us.
So, and have you stopped them from saying SF Austin?
No, we're trying though. Every chance we get, we try to tell them, look, it's either Stephen F. Austin or SFA. They did, I think, for that game at Bozeman last month, I think they had it Stephen F. Austin. I think say how they had it. But yeah, we've taught anything but SF Austin. Like, we would. I hear old alumni sometimes call it Stephen F. When I was at Stephen F. So I'm almost like, I'd rather it be Stephen F. than SF Austin. Nobody knows what.
Well, they think you're from Austin.
Right. You'll have people say, oh, you're from Austin. No. Little town.
It feels like to me, Nacogdoches is right on the verge of being, you see it on television. People mention the name. They have banners sometimes, college banners. Mm-hmm. There's something going on with especially UT taking over. It's really, in some ways, put us on the map, I think.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think, enrollment growth, we're seeing historic enrollment growth. We had our largest freshman class this past year. We're going to exceed that this coming year. At this point, we already have more applications than we had all of last year. We've already exceeded the number of applications we had last year at this point. We're not even in February yet. And so we're seeing enrollment growth. We're seeing not just a greater number of students, but because of one of the programs that we are able to participate in is called the CAP program. And so there are, I think most people know, there are students that qualify for the University of Texas, but may not be accepted because
like a feeder school.
Yes.
Satellite school.
Yes. And so similar to that, because a lot of kids want to go to University of Texas at Austin, but they only have so much room. And so there are times where they have to, there are students that qualify but they're not able to go to school there. And so if I'm not mistaken, I may be a little off on this number, but I think we had around 170 students that came to SFA in the fall that had qualified for UT, but UT didn't have a spot for them. So this was one, UT gives them, hey, here's a couple of other options. And so to get a student that's qualified for the University of Texas means they're it's like top 7% in their class or something crazy like that. I think I was in the top 3/4 of my class or something like that. So I probably wouldn't have qualified for UT, but that we're getting, a higher quality of student along with just a greater number. We're just, enrollments, it's a lot of fun to be a part of, to see that kind of growth.
Because there is an energy. It's not just like, same old.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're talking about lots more students, billions of dollars possibly, if the board will approve that.
Yeah.
It's like a rocket taking off here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to help. it's going to increase opportunities in Nacogdoches as we go from 12,000 students to 15,000 students to maybe more. Well, that means you need more restaurants and more hotels and more grocery stores and more, all those things that I think a lot of times in Nacogdoches, we're like, I wish we had, a few more things to do around Nacogdoches. And I think those things are going to happen as we gain more students. And then to see, some of the things going on downtown, the old bank building, being, Elliott Electric, and bringing employees down here eventually. I think that's going to help, energize downtown. And
I
then
would say adding 100 people or so to downtown, got to energize something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and great, so I think that's going to help downtown, and then that's going to encourage students, I think, to spend more time downtown. I just think, to your point, I think Nacogdoches, and a few years ago when we joined the UT system, I can remember talking with alumni who were interested in buying property in Nacogdoches, and I'm like, you better jump on it, because I think we are on the cusp of really seeing some cool things happen in Nacogdoches. I think we're going to really grow. We're never going to. We don't want to be a huge city. We love the small town.
Yeah.
But there's some growth we would like to see, I think, as someone who's lived here for a long time. And I think we're right on the cusp of that. So it's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. And North Street will be even more fun.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Oh, you just have to avoid it. You just have to know, hey, if I'm a Nacogdoches resident, I know the side where I know Reggae and I know the ways to get around.
Could wake up, actually.
Yeah. That'll be fun to see, because I just think we're going to see a lot of that. And it's been, as I've worked with alumni over the years in fundraising, we really have several alumni that I know personally that have purchased property in Nacogdoches either because they want to retire here, or because they want an Airbnb that they can rent out, and then when they come back to campus for something, it gives them a place to stay.
There's quite a few people doing that.
Yeah. And so it's fun. It just seems like there's a lot of energy and a lot of momentum for SFA in Nacogdoches right now. It's exciting. Yeah.
I would like, and they are talking about this, but I would like transportation from school down to downtown and back. I'm not talking a bus line per se, but a trolley kind of.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Or something.
Yeah.
And there's talk of it. It's not like
really okay. I didn't know this. That'd be awesome.
I'm just talking about it, but
could we string like a gondola, one of those things like they have with the ski lifts or whatever, where we could.
I would like that over North Street, actually. Or what's those things they have in Disneyland?
Where you just hop on it and it kind of, you have this line cable that carries you there. Yeah, I like that.
There are a lot of new driver's ed courses. Right. Good.
Right.
In defense, I came from Los Angeles. I lived down there a long time. And I've said this before, but it's like if I wanted to go to a movie in Los Angeles, it was an hour to the movie, an hour waiting on the movie, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Here, when I moved here, I was amazed. Like if the movie started at, let's say after all the previews and everything started at 7:20, I could leave at my house at 7:20 or 7:19.
Yeah.
And go to the movie.
Yes.
And that was including popcorn. So that's the advantage that we have here is
absolutely. Yeah. I've got a friend of mine who lives in Kingwood, Max Holmes. Shout out to Max Holmes, who went to SFA. Max lives in Kingwood. He's the admissions director for St. Thomas High School down on, I think it's on Shepherd in Houston. Anyways, we'll talk. And he'll tell me, he's like, I've got to leave an hour before, 45 minutes to an hour to get there. I'm like, man, I can leave my house. If I want to be at work, if I want to walk in an office at 8, I could leave my house at 7:55 probably. Yep. And I live over by the high school. I live a couple of miles from campus, but there's we don't have those traffic issues. And so,
I remember in Los Angeles being on Malibu Canyon, and I could see where I was going, but I wasn't getting there. I was like, it's still 45 minutes away,
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully we'll never have 9 million people here.
I hope, yeah, that would,
15 or whatever.
yeah. My only experience, I lived in Houston in high school. We moved to Houston when I was in high school, and
That was a big change.
yeah, it was.
Gang or anything?
No, well, depends on what you describe. Depends on what you call a gang.
It was our gang.
Okay, yeah,
But-
yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a change in your life, though. Also,
Huge change. Oh my gosh.
Would you go from 30 people in your class to how many?
So I think I graduated with around 700. I went to Klein Oak High School in Houston, and the biggest change was, we were talking about sports earlier. Had I stayed at Shelbyville, I think we had roughly, I don't know, maybe around 40 guys that played football in high school, 2A school. I get to Klein Oak, and the first day of 2-a-days, there's over 80 freshmen that are going out for football. I'm like, wow, how did I end up here? And so it was a lot of fun, great experience, loved it, wouldn't change it for anything. But yeah, it was a shock to the system and traffic, getting around Houston, probably not quite as bad as LA, but there was definitely.
Houston's just as bad as LA these days.
It is.
Wave at me with one finger when I drive there. It's very weird. Because I'm like, I lived in Los Angeles. Don't be messing with me. But they're like,
yeah. If you're going 90, you should be in the slow lane.
Yeah.
If you're in Houston.
Actually, they do that here, but it's in 4-wheel drive pickups mostly. You're like, where are you going? I'm going to see you at the next red light. But
right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah.
How long were you there in Houston?
So 5 years total. Finished high school there, and then stayed there for another year after high school. I didn't end up, so graduated from high school in 90 and didn't end up at SFA until 95. A lot of things went on in those 5 years. But
that was,
I did go to, I didn't go to college right out of high school. As I was talking earlier, I thought I would be, a sports star, a football star or something. As I finished high school, I found out I was not going to be. So I needed to figure something else out. Didn't have the best of grades. And so, no academic scholarships or anything like that. So I didn't have any way. And my parents were, hard workers, but they had not gone to college. And so there wasn't, there was really no way for me to attend school except to work my way through it. And so for a couple of years, I just worked. Saved money.
What'd you do?
Had a lot of fun. Worked at Brookshire Brothers. My dad had worked at Brookshire Brothers for years and years and years, and so started working for them when I was in high school, and then continued to do that after high school. As friends went off to college, I tried to take a couple of classes at the local community college, but my heart wasn't in it, and so just worked for a couple of years. And not, I say my heart wasn't in it. It was also hard to work 40 hours a week and then go to school. And so, you
understand people that go to school here and have to work.
Oh gosh,
a lot of kids that have to work, and it's not easy.
It is not.
Did you ever think about well, maybe Brookshire's is my future? My life?
Oh yeah. I thought, well, this is what my dad has done. This is what I'll do. But after a few years, I mean, the difficult things about the retail is a lot. I learned a lot of things in retail. I loved working at Brookshire Brothers most of the time. There were times where it was a challenge, but I learned you work with so many different types of people in retail. Any type of person you can imagine, you're coming across them in retail. I mean, everybody goes to the grocery store, and so everybody from, a guy who is walking into the grocery store with his family trying to figure out how he's going to pay for groceries I can remember at one point being in Lufkin, working at one of the Brookshire Brothers in Lufkin, and I'm carrying out groceries for Charlie Wilson, and so you run the gamut in a grocery store. Everybody comes to the grocery store. And so you work with a lot of different people. You interact with a lot of
pathetic toward people.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh yeah. Because you work with so many different personalities and you interact with so many personalities, you just learn to, I guess it's empathy. You just learn to get along with people, the alternative is to not get along with people, which doesn't work.
Does that translate into your job today?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd like to think that I can get along with kind of anybody. That's probably not 100% accurate. There's probably some people out there that are like, yeah, I don't know about that, but I hope that's true.
I've never heard anybody say anything bad about it.
Well, good. Keep talking to those people.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's a great experience, to work in a service industry or retail or something like that because of that, because you work around so many different, and it does give you empathy for people and helps you learn how to get along with people and helps you learn how to navigate conflict. And
had you met your future wife by then?
I had not. No.
Okay.
And I was just working, and then finally in the spring of '93, had realized, okay, I'm at a point. I need to go to college. Like, I'm not sure I want to do this for the rest of my life, because one of the difficult things about retail is you work when everyone else is off. So Christmas is, Thanksgiving, July 4th. Those are very busy times for someone or service industry. And so, you watch everybody else, bopping around with their family. They're off for the weekend or they're off for the holidays or whatever. And you're like, gosh, that's really what I want one day.
Yeah.
And I don't think this current business lends itself to that. So finally, I went to Angelina College, started there in spring of '93, and was there for a couple years, and then transferred over to SFA in '95, and then it took me 5 more years to graduate. And a lot of that was because I was working full time all the way through. I also spent a little time at Jitterbugs and Crossroads and places like that.
Never heard of it.
Well, then you've missed out if that's
I may have driven past.
Yeah, you may have wandered, may have heard about it a time or two. Someone mentioned places like that around campus.
Yeah.
What were the other spots on campus when you were a student? I know Crossroads was here.
Yeah, the Crossroads beer store is what we.
Okay. If you could see over the counter, we'll serve you. Come on in.
Yeah, I don't know. There was like maybe the Continental Club or something. There was the Party Center.
I've heard of those.
What
was it? Was there a country bar? Was Bullwinkle's or any of the?
There was
Cotton Eye Joe's or.
First of all, me going to SFA was a long time ago.
Sure.
I mean, there were things like the Alamo. That was a big spot for us to go to San Antonio, and it was actually open then. It wasn't a museum. So no, it was I went here. Like, I don't remember ever having gone downtown when I was a student here.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't know there were brick streets. I didn't know there were historic buildings. I knew that there was a Top Chef burger place.
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to think, there was Shepherd's or something, and the Copper Kettle. I mean.
Okay, I haven't heard of the Copper. I've heard of Shepherd's. I haven't heard of the Copper Kettle.
I'm right on that one.
Okay.
And people hear me talk about this all the time, but when I went to college here, North Street was this gentle street full of Victorian houses.
Wow.
The trees touched each other.
Really?
Center.
Okay. Oh, wow.
The college was one thing and town was another part, which we didn't really have. I think, so very different kind of place.
Okay.
Now it's much more. Even though it's smaller, this is a lot hipper town than when I went here.
Okay. Well, if you were here, it had to be somewhat hip. Come on.
I don't think so. No. And you asked me a while ago, like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I was out in West Texas, and it never rains in West Texas, in case you don't know it. 13 inches a year about, we were dryland farmers.
We get that in a couple of days.
Yeah, or an hour.
Right.
But I really wanted to go someplace different. I couldn't afford it. I was like you, so I just went to the farthest state school away from me. Okay. Never been to Nacogdoches, never heard of Nacogdoches, opened a book and went, well, that's as far away from West Texas as I could get, The other option I had, I liked Sul Ross.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to go there, but I had never been there either. So I was pretty limited in where I had been.
Okay. That's amazing to think about North Street, because I can remember growing up in Shelbyville, we would come to Nacogdoches. Like if we were if we're going to go out to eat or something, which didn't happen too often, but if we were going out to eat or going to a movie or something, we had to come to Nacogdoches. And then for school field trips, we came to Nacogdoches. We'd go to the planetarium at SFA. We'd go to Pecan Park, Old Stone Fort, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't remember enough. I don't know. I'm trying to picture in my mind North Street, because that would have been early 80s, or
it had already changed by then. I was here in the 70s.
Okay. Yeah. But that's cool to think about it being. I can't imagine North Street like that now.
You know the law firm, the Haleys?
Yes.
Okay. That's what North Street looked like back then.
Okay.
Just imagine the whole street looked like that.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Well, I was just curious if you have an opinion about our historic town that we have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people would like to just sort of make Tyler out of us sometimes. And not really for that.
Yeah, I'm not, and I don't think we'll ever get there. I don't think we'll ever do that. I mean, I don't know what's Tyler now, 100,000
I
plus.
go Tyler because it's got fresh. I like to go to that grocery store, you know, and I have nothing against it.
Sure,
lots of roses and things.
Yeah,
but we're Nacogdoches.
Yeah.
We're 300 years old, and I strongly believe that we need to preserve what we can.
Yeah,
you know, and not to get on a little soapbox here, but
here we go.
But we were driving into Nacogdoches actually today, and I said, you know, they're building a big filling station right outside, south of Nacogdoches now.
Okay.
Because I-69 is going to come,
Sure.
you know, all that stuff.
I was hoping for a Buc-ee's.
We're going to
is that a problem
baby Buc-ee's, maybe.
A baby Buc-ee's?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, it was coming in, and I was like, you know, people, once they get to that giant filling station, they're going to fill up, and then they'll just shoot around Nacogdoches if we're not careful. But if we become a destination, like this school is a destination, and the historic parts of this town are a destination, then people are like, no, let's not go around this town. Let's go into it. And that's a big deal, you know, because you can either become one of those sleepy little towns that life forgot, or you can become a destination. And that's what we need to work on.
Yeah.
And be careful how we do it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think we will be, just because there's enough here to cause someone. I mean, this is the best example that pops in my mind right away. Brendan's Barbecue, which, you know, this past year,
Texas Monthly. Yeah.
So how do you know, those are the things that I think draw. So perfect example. We like to go to San Antonio every couple years as a family. Yeah. And it's one of our places we like to go vacation for a couple of days and stay there. And without fail, on the way there, and I can't remember if this is in Lulling or maybe 5 or 10 minutes from Lulling, there's a little barbecue place called City Market, and it is awesome. And it's one of those that I think makes the Texas Monthly every now and then. And we turn off at Lulling and drive 5 or 10 minutes to go hit that one place. Mm-hmm. And I think we have enough here that'll make us one of those places where we're not just oh gosh, we got to get around Nacogdoches and get on to where we're going. But I think we'll have enough here that'll pull people in, especially with the university and other things. You know, the golf course going in north of town, Wild Springs Dunes. You know, I mean, I think things like that are going to make us more of a destination where we're going to see people that want to stay here for a few days, or at least check it out before they move on.
Well, and I think if somehow or another we can just place that in, you know, because the 32,000 people in this town, plus the college kids that we have, they often don't think that they have a choice in all this stuff, but they really do. If you just put it in the back of your mind, we want people to come here. We want them to stop here. We want it to be a destination. That stops a lot of people from just like, oh, there's nothing to that whole sack of roaches, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That, you know, I'm sorry, but that plays into people's heads, and you need to stop it, okay? I'm telling you. And there's a lot of them out there like, yeah, well, that's the way it is. No, it's not. You know, not if, you know, build it and they will come kind of thing.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's funny to hear people talk about, and I do, you do hear that from time to time, maybe students or somebody who says, oh, there's just not, I never felt that way as a student. I always felt like there was stuff to do when I was a student here. Maybe not always the best things to be doing, but always found things to do. And whether it was on campus, whether it was something, of course, I worked a lot. That was part of it. So that took up a lot of my time. But whether it was intramurals on campus, whether it was nightlife at a local establishment or whatever, like I always felt like there were things. I never felt like we don't have anything to do tonight, or we don't have anything to do this weekend. I never had that thought.
If you look at what's going on in town, which they print, I mean, there's stuff to do here, especially with the university, and which also brings up another topic. You were talking about extra funds for liberal arts and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
When I went to college here, we had the biggest stars there came to town concert-wise, you know?
Yeah.
Saw ZZ Top here, saw Olivia Newton-John, John Denver, those kind of things, which were at the top of their game.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I mean, we're lucky that Bonita Creek still brings in, big names and stuff. But there's something, I guess the level of money they get paid, is that what did it?
That's what I understand. I've had the same thought. So, especially when my brother was here as a student, this would have been early to mid 80s. He worked he got a job working security at the Coliseum, and he got to meet Alabama and 38 Special and I think George Strait, all these different people, and we don't have those anymore. And from what I understand, the money is so at your Houston, Dallas, even maybe a Shreveport or something, the money and the number of people they can pack into a venue is so much greater than we can do, say, at the Coliseum, where you could fit 6,000 or 7,000 people, but you can't charge them enough to make it work for the artist, from what I understand. You would have to charge each person so much to make it worthwhile for the artist. Now, I do think, and Kevin White does a great job of this at Bonita Creek Hall, is figuring out maybe catching, he gets some big stars over there too, but how do we catch maybe somebody who's kind of up and coming? Yeah. How do you catch some of those future stars and maybe bring them in? I do think there's going to be some options going forward, as one of the things on the master plan for athletics is a new football stadium. Now, it's going to take us a few years, but that would be the new football stadium will be a little more intimate. It won't have a track inside of it and things like that. So it's going to be a little tighter space, and that would lend itself. Some of the locations that have done, Tarleton recently built,
which is one of the fastest growing schools.
Absolutely.
I just read that.
Yes.
My sister graduated from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are
pretty hip school for farmers and stuff.
Yes.
Fishermen and things.
And they're really leveraging that culture, I guess you'd say. Yep. And so they're bringing, and they've got some guys, I think, that went to school there that went on and became country stars and stuff, but they're using that football stadium and some other venues around campus to bring in, some country stars, your Co-Wetzels and your Josh Abbotts and some of those guys. And we get those for, say, like a homecoming concert out at the bonfire. But I think because of their football stadium and a couple other venues around there, they've been able to leverage that and bring some of the, and I think we'll be able to do the same thing eventually as we move forward with this master plan. But Brad, it's such a great point, because when I talk to alumni, they're always the ones pre-95. They're like, oh my gosh, I saw Pearl Jam, or I saw this, and so why don't we get those anymore? And that's what I've always been told, or recently have been told, that the finances don't work to host that in the Coliseum like it did 30 years ago.
But and you do, as this community, we'll go down to Houston and pay $400 to see somebody.
Right.
Yeah. But if it was here, you'd be like, no, I'm talking $40. I'm right, because it's different. It's different.
Absolutely.
I saw Eric Clapton in Houston a few years ago, and it was if you could get a worse seat possible. Yeah. I mean,
where was it at? Was it at the Woodlands, the Pavilion,
at the big whatever downtown?
Oh, Toyota Center, maybe, or okay,
one of those things.
Okay,
but I mean, it was like I had to rappel to my seat. You know what I mean? And even then, I strapped in because I was like, if I fall, it's gonna, But anyway, and it was $80, I think.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
but it was full, you know.
Yeah.
Thing. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the idea of the intimacy of a tighter football stadium.
Yeah.
Because there's something about the energy when you're a quarter mile from the other side, you're like,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But if you're on top of each other, the energy feeds on it.
Yeah.
So that would be good.
Yeah, that's the plan. Is it would be a little more intimate, a little still hold a lot of people. It's still gonna, it's a college football stadium, but a little more intimate, and hopefully it'll lend itself to doing some other events there other than just football. I think football games will be better there too because of that, but maybe doing some other things with it too.
Yeah,
which will be fun.
Well, I like that. I haven't eaten there yet, but I like that new dining room.
The
look of it.
Yeah,
and if that's an indication of the looks that we're going to have, it's going to be incredible. I mean,
yeah, that's the
beautiful school.
Yes, the new forestry building will look similar to that. They'll have there's a name for it. The type of wood products. Can't believe I'm forgetting this, but but it'll have some of that as a part of
Timber Ridge kind of thing.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but
yeah. Gosh, I can't believe but yeah, it'll have that same similarity there at the which if you haven't seen that, I mean that forestry building, it's 4 stories. It's going to be massive. It's an $85 million building, and it's going to be incredible.
One day, and they were tearing something down. I drove by the next day, and it was 3 stories at least.
Right.
I was like, what the heck?
What? Yes. They're ahead of schedule. They're a couple months ahead of schedule. And then right next to it, we're building an $42 million entrepreneurship building right next to it. And so that whole corner is just and it's part of it at least is supposed to have that same wood product, timber, piney woods feel to it. It's cool that even when you go in, and a lot of people maybe haven't, if you go in our basketball performance center that was built about 4 years ago, attached to the Coliseum, we have some of that, and there's some wood features that kind of remind you that you're in the piney woods. In fact, there was unless you go in that building, you don't know that, but there used to be a huge tree. That area used to be just grass, and there was a huge tree out there, and of course they had to cut it down to build they took that tree and they cut it into, I guess you'd call them cookies, what it looked like they kind of cut it up, and then they hung it in the lobby. So there's so they're trying, I think on campus we're trying to honor what has made us, how people think of us, that we're part of the Piney Woods. We're the Harvard of the Piney Woods. We're the college of the Piney Woods. And
I think that's a great thing, because sometimes you just end up with a mishmash of different looks and styles, and it's kind of like you have low self-esteem. And I'm like, no, let's have esteem here.
Yeah.
And when people, it's a dream, but when they say, I want to go to Nacogdoches, I want to go to Stephen F. Austin, that they will have an image and a brand. Branding is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And like Brendan, and I want him on the show, but Brendan has great and created a brand here.
Absolutely.
That didn't exist for here.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's that place is, and I don't get there as often as I'd like, which is probably a good thing, but love going there. And I think it's a place that has helped because of the Texas Monthly recognition, and kind of to your point, the branding he's done. And it's funny now, alumni that come back that find out about that place and go try it, and now when they come back to campus for something, that's one of their spots.
Yeah.
It's like, what are y'all doing here this weekend? They'll get back for a couple weekends a year, and they're, we're going to Brendan's.
It's like,
and we're saying
Jack at A&L, or except nicer or whatever.
Yes.
But that kind of stuff's important because it's just, and that's based, I think, on Brendan has a passion. Plus, and I hear these things that he worked at Chick-fil-A, which has its own brand of kindness, based on kindness. And if you could bring that over to, like, even if SFA had, I had a couple of film students talk about when they're on the set, what they're trying to bring is a camera, a story, and kindness. And I was like, well, okay, camera and story I get. Kindness is kind of radical, So if you guys actually think that and do that, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I hope the whole school operates that way.
Yeah.
The way you were raised, wouldn't it be incredible if we had that kind of attitude? little bit troublemaker, but a good kid
Right.
who said yes, sir, and yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Once more on the soapbox here,
Yeah,
but
no,
I mean,
yeah.
you seem open to it,
Yeah.
and you have the ability to influence all of that.
Yeah. Well, it's I think that exists I think we most of the people on campus, I think, are like that. And when you're able to be a part of, one of the cool things that we're able to do is be a part of a lot of events that are external in nature, where we're interacting with the community or we're interacting with fans or whatever. And it just seems like a lot of people on our campus enjoy that and enjoy being here in Nacogdoches, love being a part of the campus. And I think then it becomes more natural. And like, here's one of the things that I got to do this last year. Haven't been able to do this before, but from now on, I'm like, that's what I want to do every year in August when students get here, we have move in. We have everybody. It's kind of a Dr. Weaver, who's done such a great job on campus, gets everybody. This is an initiative of his. He really wants the whole camp. We want to welcome these new students and their families with open arms as a campus. We all want to be involved in this, and he's a part of it. He's helping freshmen move into their dorms and stuff like that. But I got to be at the check-in. So as people come in, they pull into the commuter lot. And I know one of the admissions office is one of the groups that I think sets some of this up. And people come in, they check in, and they get, where they're going. Okay, you're in this dorm. Here's your key. Okay, you got to turn in this paperwork. Now you're going, all that stuff. And it's just so fun to see those people pull up. And it's a freshman kid with his family, and he's leaving home he or she's leaving home for the first time. They're coming to Nacogdoches. They're coming here to go to school. And we get to be, obviously they've gone through orientation and stuff like that, but we get to be a part of that welcome party, welcome center as they pull up. And as I was a part of that this past fall, it was so much fun to see those people pull up, to see how much fun we were having. There are people that are, just having a good time. All of a sudden, because we had students helping us too, and all of a sudden they would start line dancing or something. We'd have some music going. And it was just such a fun experience. I don't know how anybody couldn't enjoy that and pull up to that and go, hey, this is awesome that this is where I get to do life for the next 4 or 5 or 7 years, maybe, if you want.
You're a perfect person for SFA because you bring such a good, you weren't like, I have to go hand out water and help these. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
You have a joy to life, which maybe you don't maybe you don't know that, but that's important. It's well, you must have great parents.
I did have I do have it. So my mom's passed, but my dad's still around. Saw him this weekend. I did. Yeah, I had great parents. Great parents. I have many faults. None of them are to be blamed on them. I've earned them all myself.
Wait a minute. You're a human?
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, I had great parents, and thanks for saying all that. I don't always feel like that's true, but I do enjoy. I love what I get to do. We love living here in Nacogdoches. Love being a part of the campus. So I think a lot of it just comes when you enjoy what you do and you enjoy the people you work with and the things it makes it easy to just enjoy being a part of those things.
Sometimes college campuses become little palaces of isolation.
Mm-hmm.
If you can break that, that would be incredible. Or if the attitude becomes more of inclusive rather than exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everybody protects their little domains.
Sure. Yeah, that can happen. I don't feel like, I'm sure that happens on campus some. I'm not that blind to think it doesn't, but I think, at least in recent years, I feel like SFA, it seems to be a campus where, community's very vibrant, and,
your president seems to be setting the tone.
Yes. Yes.
He's a doer, it seems to me.
He is. The best thing is that they are at everything. Like, they're at fine arts concerts. Yep. They're at games. They're at everything. They do a lot of things. Dr. Weaver and Christy do a lot of things that maybe people don't notice or don't see. At the beginning of the semester, they host all kinds of student groups at their house. Mm-hmm. Athletes, band, Greeks, student activities, like all these orientation leaders, like all these different people. They have them over at the house for ice cream or whatever.
Well, even the fact, it feels like to me that their front door is open.
Yeah.
I mean, they invite the town in.
Yeah.
They, you know,
They
so
do.
that's
They were in the
really-
tour of homes this year. They do they do 2 or 3 Christmas parties. They do one just for faculty staff at their home. They do one for the community and donors, and they do one more, but they do multiple of those. Then they did the tour of homes. They do. They open their home to. Now I'm sure there's times where they're like, okay, we need to close the doors and kind of shut out the world for a little while.
Yeah, well, we do live here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so I'm sure there's those moments, but yeah, they've engaged the community really well, and they do.
It's an attitude, which
Yeah.
is what. That's great.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and we'll wrap up here. I need to have you back because we.
Oh, are you out of time? Oh, okay.
You know,
Well, the national championship, college national championship, starts here in a little bit. So yeah, it's a good time to. It's okay.
Oh,
I'll have to come back.
No, wait. You just said you didn't get to watch games, so just get over.
Yeah, watching tonight though. I don't want to miss the national championship. And we're playing. The basketball team's playing at Nichols, so I'm gonna try to have 2 screens, have an iPad and my TV going, so I can keep up with both of them.
Is there anything that when you were coming here tonight to talk, you were like, I really want to talk about this. I hope my heart opens up. Is there anything left unsaid?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
I talk a lot, though, so I'm sure there's probably – I always have things unsaid. I'm just not sure what it is. There's no telling – there's all kinds of jambalaya up there in that brain, and so you never know what's going to come out.
Why don't you come back sometime?
That sounds good. I'd love to.
That.
This was great.
We didn't even bring you up to meeting the love of your life and getting married and having kids and all that other stuff. So we have part 2 coming up.
We met at a nice little just romantic establishment here in Nacogdoches called Jitterbugs. It burned down a few years ago, and we met there. Yeah,
love burned it down.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. We met there and started dating. Got married before we graduated. And then we've had kids and raised kids here and just built a life here in Nacogdoches.
She work for SFA too?
No, she works at Commercial Bank. She's been there for a while, and she sells insurance, Medicare insurance. So she does a couple of things, and yeah. And then
do you think your future is in Nacogdoches?
Oh yeah. I mean, you never say never. You never know. But that's our plan. Our plan's to stay here. If anything, when we talk about the future, we live in town right now, but we talk about buying, a few acres outside of town and getting more animals. We've got a couple chickens.
You have chickens, right?
I don't think I'm supposed to have chickens inside the loop, so.
No, I know there's several people who have chickens.
I might be in
They've
trouble
been on the podcast.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, well, we've got other people in our neighborhood that want. Somebody's got a rooster in our neighborhood. Which crows very early in the morning. But yeah, if anything, we would like to, plant roots a little deeper, and have a few acres and hopefully, we're one of those families. We hope maybe our kids stay here and you'd love to have, just live on a commune.
That's an East Texas thing is for you to buy some acreage and the parents live here and the kids live.
Yeah.
They each build a house.
We would love to do that. Yeah. Now they need to call before they come over. Okay.
Oh, you make rules.
Yeah. Don't just barge into the house. Okay. You need to have your own place.
And they don't get to put you in the tiny house or something.
Right.
You need a posse house.
Yeah.
Don't let them do that to you. Thank you so much, Scott Allen.
Yeah. Thanks, really, Brad. Thanks for having me on.
And thanks you guys for watching. We'll see you soon.
There ain't nothing wrong with me that you can't fix. There ain't nothing wrong